All right, guys, welcome in. It is time for Total Bases. It's a two-man show today, myself and Bryan Leonard. TB will be back tomorrow, but still plenty to talk about. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to most of these games on the typical abbreviated Thursday slate. This is your go-to show for everything Major League Baseball. We'll go deep into the games. We'll get to some free picks, but more importantly, we'll get you guys involved. So hop in the chat. Start firing off the questions, and let us know what we're talking about today. Bryan Leonard, we need some winners here in the parlay. Maybe we can hit a two-teamer today. That was that was just a tough result. Rays Guardians. It's looking like a win until the very end, and it just I feel like we've had a couple of those in the parlay where we get to like the last leg. A couple nights ago, we were into the Tigers for the last leg of the parlay. 3-0 lead with Tariq Skubal. What do we have to do to get a parlay home here? I mean, come on now.
I'm telling you, if you watch the show, I like the Tampa in the first half. I talked about that. Talked about Tampa in the game. They led the entire way. The only time they were behind was when they lost the game in extra innings. Yeah, 2 outs away. And to top it all off, the one guy in the Cleveland lineup who's been worse than everybody all season long is the guy who hits the home run. So Nolan Jones, thank you very much for being a Cleveland fan. No, thank you very much for costing us our parlay. But that's the way it goes sometimes. And you get to the end. We have so many games we're talking about here, and there's so many different. Like you had Tampa Bay, as we mentioned before the show, and you changed it at the last minute because of mine. And so I could have played Tampa Bay first half, stuck with that. We would have had our winner. It's a choice. We lost. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I was talking to Bryan off air, and this is going to be my segue into our first game because, Bryan, I mean, most of your friends, my friends are handicappers and stuff like that, or at least the people we interact with on a daily basis. And all you ever hear is people complain about losing, complain about how they got screwed. And it's like sometimes things do work out in your favor. I was talking about yesterday, for me, I had every intention of playing the Rays. We're on this show. I talked about it on this show. I get off the show. Suddenly they're $1.55 favorite. They took a ton of money. And, being the disciplined guy that I am, Bryan, I can't play that bad number. So I passed on that, ended up passing on a loser. And then I come back and end up playing the Orioles plus 1.5, which I got to be honest, I don't know if I take a Rays loss in that fashion early in the day, I might take my ball and go home. But I didn't. And the Orioles hang on to a game that I felt like they kind of had, end up losing 3-2, but that's our segue because that's the first game on the slate for Thursday. It's Orioles Red Sox back at Camden Yards, day game. Tough way for the Orioles to sort of drop one yesterday. They had, I question how that end of that game was managed. They had Keegan Aiken, who comes in and does a tremendous job to get out of the 8th inning. I believe he inherited first and third, no outs. And gets out of it. And I also want to go back and say, if you watched the show yesterday, I talked about Dietrich Enns to Roansy Contreras being tough on the Red Sox. They totally shut the Red Sox down for like 8 innings. They were totally confused. Aiken comes in, gets out of the 8th inning, and they put him back out there for the 9th. I thought it was the wrong decision. It turns out it was. Thankfully, it didn't cost me my plus 1.5 by about 1 inch because that's where Romy Gonzalez's home run. I thought it was a home run. Somehow Dylan Carlson just reaches his glove up, grabs it, gets the out, 3-2 final. The Orioles, man, Bryan, they're looking like a very young team right now. They called a lot of these guys up, but I'm not seeing much veteran leadership. I feel like I'm watching a very young team sort of get slapped around by a solid Red Sox team. Does that continue today, or do the Orioles have a chance here?
Well, I'll be honest with everybody. I'm not enamored with today's card. So there's not a lot that's popped out of me at this point. But if I'm looking at this game, you got Crochet on the mound, a couple of lefties going, Crochet and Povich. Crochet in the 190 range, total of 8 to the under or 7.5, slightly to the over. I don't want any part of Povich. Povich has not been able to make that adjustment going from the minor leagues to the majors. He was expected to do much better than he has. He'll throw in a good outing once in a while, and he has recently. He had a really good outing, but you've got one of the best top 5 pitchers, top 3 maybe in Major League Baseball, going here for a Boston team who's seems to be on a mission, and I wouldn't want to bet against him here. Crochet 2.38 ERA, 3.02 expected, 1.06 WHIP. If you look at his StatCast page on Baseball Savant on the MLB.com website, we see nothing but red, nothing but bright red. He is great at everything he does, throws 5 pitches, including his 4-seamer at 96.3 miles an hour, which is 3.3 miles an hour faster than anybody, your average left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball. And we know how much success lefties have had this year. So that would be, there's no way I'm going against Crochet. Now, Povich, he's got a 5.13 ERA in his 2 seasons. He's gone 5-16 with a 5.16 ERA, 1.43 WHIP. Granted, it's only 165 innings. He's a young guy. He's only 25 years old, but he just has not had the ability to make the adjustment going from the minors to the majors. His expected ERA is 5.57, so there's nothing there. If you take a look at his StatCast page, 7th percentile in expected ERA, 4th in average exit velocity, 3rd in barrel rate, 5th in hard hit percentage. And the way Baltimore lost that game yesterday in the heartbreaking fashion, because I had Baltimore as a smaller play for myself. I used it for my free play yesterday, and we've been on a nice 10-4 run. Well, now it's 10-5. Is I did not take the run and a half. It's going to be tough for Baltimore to come back in this game. I prefer the Boston side, but I can't get there with this line. There's no discount here on Boston going for the sweep. And normally this is the day where we've got a lot of teams that are, we saw a couple games yesterday where it was the game and then they got to fly out, and the Mets game under, I talked about that, and that's exactly what happened in the Mets game under. That was a nice win for us, but it's tough to take a team to sweep. And I believe the Cincinnati Reds finally got swept yesterday, so they were the last team to do it in Major League Baseball. But I can't get behind Boston in a sweep, but there's no way I want to go against them right here.
Yeah, Greg Morales, welcome in. Became a YouTube member. That is that's music to our ears. That means he just subscribed via the YouTube channel. Appreciate you, Greg. And if you haven't done that yet, which I know most of you have because you watch the show all the time, and I know you guys listen, but if you haven't, the likes, subscribes, and subscriptions to the YouTube channel help tremendously. Turnbuckle Tommy, I'm kind of with you here. He says his favorite play of the day is the under in the Red Sox Orioles. Road getaway day, Crochet in the mound. Povich actually has good numbers against Boston. Yeah, Povich does have decent numbers against Boston, and I'll tell you what, I bet Povich earlier this year against the Red Sox in a game that ended up being like a 17-5 loss, okay? And I remember that game because I watched every pitch of it, and Povich was very, very good, and all of those runs came after he was out of the game for the most part. I think it was like a 1-run game. There was a spot where the Orioles had a chance to take the lead. I think the Red Sox made a really nice defensive play to end the inning. And then the floodgates opened after he was out of the game. But I remember every pitch of that game. I thought he pitched well, and he has pitched okay against the Red Sox in the past. I agree with what Bryan's saying. It hasn't fully translated for him. This is a guy that was very dominant at AAA last year. Just hasn't really been able to do that at the big league level, but it still might be in there. I don't know if there's anything to this, but he kind of set, and this should, I hate even bringing stuff like this up because it doesn't deserve attention, but Povich got threats after his last start. I don't know if you saw that make the rounds on social media. I think a family member of his got threatened. So, which is insane that's like in the game, but it does happen. And, like we saw it happen with McCullers earlier this year. And the next day next game he came out, pitched great. I don't think there's any correlation between that and the threat, but I'm sure the team is behind him. I'm sure he's had a lot of kind words over the past few days, and there's probably people in there building him up, maybe more so than your typical start. Who knows if there's something to that or not? I want to make a case for the Orioles on the +1.5 again, because it's a much better price than yesterday. And the reason I would like the Orioles here to stay within margin, the Red Sox have used some bullpen. They've been that's part of the thing. When you win a lot of games, and especially when you win close games like the Red Sox have in this series, you start to burn through the bullpen. So they have had some bullpen usage. So I do think the Orioles might be able, if they can hang around, they can cover that 1.5, maybe even steal this one. But I think Turnbuckle Tommy's play makes sense because you get Crochet. Povich should pitch better. Or Povich should pitch okay. He has in this series so far. You have the getaway day. And you're going to have, you get the 8 flat, which I thought it should have been 7.5. I like that. So Turnbuckle Tommy, I'm with you. I don't know if it'll be my parlay lay, but I think under makes a lot of sense here.
The only problem is Chapman pitched yesterday. He's pitched 3 of the last 7 days. He threw 24 pitches. He won't be available. And he has been silently talking about making catches at the wall. He's silently been the best relief pitcher in baseball this year. He's number 1 rated. So him not playing, and Wilson came in for 1 pitch yesterday, but it would be the 3rd game in a row that he pitched. I doubt if he'll be used, but that leaves you Whitlock and Matz, and so they're fine other than that. But to play an under in a game where your best pitcher will not be pitching in Chapman, that is something to think about. But yeah. Anytime we get these Thursday getaway games, that's the first thing I'm looking at from a total standpoint, is to play the under in these, especially, that one's at an early game, starts at 1:00. They got to get out of there. Makes a lot of sense to me too.
Brian Leonard, did you know Aroldis Chapman has now gone 42 batters without giving up a hit? I didn't know that until last night. That's kind of crazy.
His numbers, considering his age, to throw the ball as fast as he does, being a lefty, he's turned himself. If he wasn't, is he a Hall of Famer? I mean, you got to look at that career he's had. It's tougher for the relief pitchers to get in there, but the guy's been really good, and he's done it for so many teams and so many years. Hats off to him and the career he's had.
Yeah, he's, like Colin said, he looks like he's in his prime, and we all remember how dominant Aroldis Chapman was during his prime days. But yeah, it's what a weapon for this Red Sox team who's been playing great ball to have. And I think that would also sort of tilt me to Orioles +1.5, knowing that they're probably not going to have Chapman at the end of the game, because credit to the Orioles. Kobe Mayo had a phenomenal at-bat in the 9th inning. I think it was like a 12-pitch at-bat against Chapman, and he just put him away with 99 down the middle on pitch number 12, because that's just how locked in Chapman is right now. You have to protect against like 3 other things. Good conversation right there. That'll be a fun one, and that is the first day game. So Scar, I did not know this. He says hitting subscribe does not make you a member. Membership is $2.99, but subscribe anyways. Well, I didn't realize that. But hey, if you guys are becoming members, thank you very much. And it is free to like and subscribe, and all the interaction greatly helps us. We just want to grow this show to be as big as we can possibly be. So then when next year rolls around and they're figuring out what kind of programming they want, they keep us in mind. That is our goal with all of that. So let's see. Let's go to the comp. We're going to probably get to a lot of games today. So I'm just going to go, and we might get to most of them actually, or some of them. Let's talk Mets baseball for a second, Brian. I feel like, this is, I didn't make, I didn't bet the Mets a single time in this series, and I'm kicking myself a little bit because I talked about it on Friday. Hey, I'm going to bet the Mets till they lose. I play them Friday, Saturday. They lose on Sunday. I never came back with them against the Phillies, and then they pull off the sweep. I do feel a little bit validated here. Your boy has been all over Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong. Nolan McLean last night, awesome. Wipes out the Phillies, no problem. But now we're starting to get – it's just amazing how quickly things turn, because the Mets a week ago, no one wanted any part of this team, Brian, and now they're over a $2 favorite against the Marlins. Any way you play back at that a little bit this weekend or even here tonight?
Yeah, it's I was actually thinking about it. As I'm watching the games, I said, well, I wonder what the Mets are right now to win the World Series because they're playing really well. And a week ago, they're not dead because they've accumulated enough wins, but they were not looking good. Very hit and miss. That's why at the end of the season, when you see these teams, when you see the records like against over 500 teams or whatever, you just take it with a grain of salt, because if they played the Mets during that streak that they were just on, that was nothing to brag about, because the Mets just were not playing well. We're going with the bullpen game, it looks like, for Miami today. Mazur's getting the start against Clay Holmes. And they are bringing up your man to pitch tomorrow that you had meant, tomorrow. Tong is going to go. They're going to go with a 6-man rotation. It would not surprise me to see Holmes go to the bullpen because of his innings. He was the closer for the Yankees, goes over to the Mets. So his innings are starting to pile up a little bit. But Holmes and the Mets right now looking like basically about 250 favorite, total of 9 slightly to the under. We're looking at Mazur, as I mentioned, on the StatCast page here. They don't have a listed pitcher because it was just done. So I expect him to go an inning. I think it's going to be a bullpen game. Which first thing I want to take a look at here is how's Miami bullpen sitting up in this game, and looks like they're in really good shape. Fauché and Henriquez and Phillips. Fauché and Henriquez haven't pitched the last 2 days. Phillips, nobody pitched last night except for 2 guys they brought up from the minors to extend that game, and that was Tarnock and Martinez. They won't be playing. They'll be sent back down to AAA. They'll bring a couple more guys up here. But it'll be a bullpen game for Miami, I believe, and I have no problem with that because they're set up pretty well here. We've got Holmes, as I mentioned, going for New York, and hitting the season, he's up to a 3.60 ERA, 4.37 expected, 1.32 whip. Very good ground ball rate, an excellent ground ball rate, 94th percentile. But other than that, his barrel rate's pretty good, 69%, but everything else is in the blue. So I'm not looking to play the Mets here in any regard. He's got 137 pitches thrown this year, which is more than he's had the last 2 years combined, obviously coming out of the bullpen. Hasn't started a game the last 2 years. Now he's up. This is his 27th start. So it's probably a 5 and fly for Holmes if he can get there, which isn't a bad situation. But he has not been nearly as good lately. I got to find a way to play Miami here. And let me see what we can get here at the plus 1.5. You can get a plus money. Let me use that. Like I said, I'm not in love with anything on today's card, but because of the situation here with the Mets coming off, it's got to be a letdown after sweeping Phillies. Well, so I'm going to use Miami here, plus 1.5 at plus 105 out there. So that'll be my play on this game.
You don't get. First of all, it's football season, and you should be watching Bet on It, which is a great football show that Wager Talk produces. You don't get many sandwich spots in baseball. Marco does this segment, which is like sandwich spots in football. They happen every week. You rarely get them in baseball. This would be a baseball sandwich spot because you have the letdown of sweeping the Phillies, and then you have tomorrow night, which has now become this very anticipated Jonah Tong Major League debut. So you have a legitimate sandwich spot here. One thing I'll disagree with you with, Adam Mazur is a starter. He will go 5 innings. Like this is not going to be a bullpen game. He's not a bullpen arm at all. Like he is a starting pitcher. He only has started for Jacksonville this year. Every outing's like 5 innings. So the only way he's out early in this game is if he's getting crushed. Bryan, if you remember, I could pull up our text thread from back in April. I said Mazur will be in this rotation by early May. This was the guy that I was excited about. So if you're not familiar with Adam Mazur, they got him from the Padres, I believe, as part of one of their deadline deals last year. I forget who they got for him, doesn't matter. But I thought early in this year, so he was a guy, actually, he was up with San Diego for a stretch last year, and he struggled because he was just not ready to be in the big leagues yet. San Diego needed a starter last year. He only had about 4 outings at Double-A, and they said, "Hey, you're in. Like, go for it." And he didn't pitch well. And then the Marlins got him, and to the Marlins' credit, and this is Peter Bendix, and this is, their whole sort of MO with trying to develop pitching and do it their way. They kept Mazur down at AAA last year, and he's been there for most of the year this year. So the only issue is he hasn't thrown the ball great at AAA, but you also have to wonder if this is one of those things where he feels like he's just, other guys have gotten a chance and maybe he should have. We had this come up. I forget who it was with, but this same scenario came up the other day, and the pitcher in question pitched well. I can't remember who we were talking about, but the point is Mazur's a big league caliber pitcher. He made it to the big leagues with the Padres. He was serviceable, had command issues. He's been down at AAA all year for the Marlins. And for whatever reason, the Marlins like to do this, but they seem to like to do this with guys they really like. If you remember, they did it to Max Meyer last year, where they just kind of forced him to stay down at AAA all year, even though the guys being called up were not as, they were less touted, if you will, than him. That's kind of what has happened to the Marlins this year in terms of some of the guys they've brought up ahead of him. I kind of like that, though, because they've had him down there for a reason. They must feel like the time is now. If you're looking at stuff of all those pitchers down in Jacksonville, he probably has the best stuff. So I think there's a lot of upside here to the Marlins. And then after him, you are going to get some of the better bullpen arms, and you do get this great sandwich spot. So the only thing that's kind of sucks with the Marlins right now is you don't have Stowers, and I think that really has hurt them since he went down. But, there's been plenty of time. What are we going on a week where he's been out? I think the market sort of baked that in at this point. I'm with you, Brian. Marlins plus 1.5. If you didn't do it, I would have done it. So I like that quite a bit. And Trevor says Mazur horrible against lefties. Going to be a few left-handed hitters in the Mets lineup. Okay, yeah. I mean, listen, that's a good point, and it's possible. But you're getting the run here, and you're getting it with the road team. I think it's a worthwhile trade-off with this, with the spot coming off the Phillies game, and then you've got the big Jonah Tong debut tomorrow. It really is a tremendous spot for the Marlins, and you're getting a ton of value as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate you correcting me on that, because he wasn't listed on StatCast anywhere. I had to go to Baseball Reference. That trade was when he came over to Miami. He has had one start for Miami this year, 6.35 ERA, did not look good, 5.2 innings. And he had some walk issues in that game. So yeah, overall, he has not done well, but I like the situation. And even if they can get 4 quality innings out of him, 3 quality innings, that's fine enough for me. But I remembered the name, and once you mentioned San Diego, then I put it all together. But yeah, I should have gone to Baseball Reference. They have all the information. That's another site where we rarely mention it, but it gives you a lot of great information. And if you're looking for these minor league players, and like you do, you follow those games a lot more than I do. This is a place to catch up on all those guys that do that for a living.
Andy Lang says, WT.buzz/insiders, $2.99 a month. You get a $5 coupon at the start of every month, exclusive content, emojis, buttons, chat, and your questions in the chat get priority. That must be what he's talking about for the whatever that subscription was. So if that's something that interests you, check that out. Appreciate Andy popping in. And Brian, I remembered who it was, and this will be my segue to our next game. It was Bubba Chandler. Last week we talked about Bubba Chandler. He started to sort of struggle in the minors. I kind of felt like maybe he was kind of looking at it like, all right, why am I still down here? And maybe he got bored a little bit. Now, I don't want to compare Mazur to Chandler, because Chandler's a much higher touted sort of prospect at this point. But that's what we saw happen with Chandler, where he had some bad outings at the minors. He gets up. He's tremendous last week. Did I see he got in and threw the ball pretty well last night again? I think I did, right?
He actually is the first player in Major League history to get a save and a win in his first 2 appearances. It's another useless stat from ESPN or whoever it was. but still, he was able to get the win, and he piggybacked, and that's what they're doing right now. So, and he's been unhittable so far. So it's worked out well. And that's one of the other things you have to keep track of this time of year. Some guys get real frustrated. They haven't gotten the call. They've seen all their buddies getting the call, and they go, "What the hell's wrong with that? What is wrong? Why can't I get the call?" And then when they do, they come out and they're more focused. So hopefully it'll work out for the Miami pitcher today.
So my segue was to this Pirates Cardinals game. And man, every time I watch the Pirates and they win a game and they do it with like a Bubba Chandler or something, I think to myself, man, if there was other people in charge of this organization, they would be a above 500 team, probably in the mix. Like, it's actually insane. This team is 59-75 with the pitching talent they have. Some of the guys that they've been able to accumulate in that organization, like the fact that they're, Keon in the chat is like 2026 rotation, Skeens, Chandler, Ashcraft, Jared Jones. I mean, it's just incredible that this team isn't winning more games. But then you have a game like last night where they go out, they win 2-1. Bubba Chandler's throwing 100, and you're like, yeah, like this is what's supposed to happen with this Pirates team. And so I bring you to this game today. I feel like if things were to go how they were supposed to, it'd be Braxton Ashcraft throwing 5 or 6 really good innings, and the Pirates in the driver's seat to win. And you've got the Pirates at plus money here. So, but it's still the Pirates, and they still make mind-numbing decisions, mostly with their lineup, because that lineup down in Indianapolis is very good right now. I got to see them in person last week. There's 4 guys in that lineup that should be in the big league lineup. So it makes the Pirates a tough handicap. How do you handicap this one, Pirates Cardinals?
Yeah, the Pirates, we didn't talk about that game yesterday, but I really like the Pirates. I thought there was way too much value on them. Obviously, the St. Louis pitcher is a very good pitcher, and he pitched well in the game. But how is St. Louis worth being a 190 favorite? We didn't get into it yesterday, but hopefully a lot of people saw what I saw. Ashcraft against Miles Mikolas, who for some reason is pitching well right now. So every time I think the guy's going to get cut, he gets to the point and he goes, okay, well, I better stick around a little bit. But
it's been going on for a decade.
Yeah,
it's been going on for 10 years.
But by the way, Colorado just sent Sensatella to the bullpen, so no more of that for us. But yeah, that was something that's probably 4 months too late. But Mikolas here, 116 favorite, and looks to be 8.5 to the under, or you can get 8 slightly to the over. Yeah, Ashcraft has been very good. 2.70 ERA, 1.18 WHIP, expected 3.30. A lot of red on his StatCast page. Barrel percentage, 97th percentile. Ground ball rate, 89th. 90th percent on average exit velocity. He throws the four-seamer at 97, which is 2 miles an hour more than a normal right-hander. But he throws the slider and the curve a lot too. So he's got 3 pitches that he throws maybe 85% of the time, although he does have 5 total pitches. I like the package for Ashcraft. I think this is a guy that is, for the most part, staying under the notice of a lot of people out there. And, even some of the other guys for the Pirates on the pitching staff, the starters, have done pretty well. Miles Mikolas, 5.17 ERA, 5.39 expected, 1.36 WHIP. He doesn't pitch in Colorado. He doesn't pitch in Cincinnati. Those are numbers that you would get if you were to pitch in those 2 ballparks. He's been lucky to pitch here. The one saving grace for Miles Mikolas, he doesn't walk anybody. Only 5.7 this year, and his career walk rate is 4.4%. So he's in the 87th percentile of that, but everything else, all blue on his StatCast page. 4-seam slider, curve, sinker, change, sweeper. He does it all. And he only throws his fastball 28% of the time, which I like. But I think he's been in the league for 10 years now, got a respectable 70-74 record, but he's seen better days. And he after the 3 years, at least the last 2 years, 5.35 ERA, 5.17 this year. I don't know what his contract situation is, but he'll likely be out of baseball soon. All that said, I do prefer Pittsburgh in this game. I think we lost a little bit of value because they won yesterday. I would have preferred to take St. Louis coming in here. offer a satisfying win. But yeah, the only way I could play this game would be Pittsburgh with a clearly better starter. The bullpen for Pittsburgh, even though they traded away their closer, they still got a lot of talent. I've always liked Holderman, and I like some of the other guys in that bullpen. So, yeah, if I play this, I'm playing the Pirates. The only problem is you got to worry about the Pirates offense. Some days they put up 14 runs. Other days they get shut out. Major League Baseball. And they could get one of those where Mikolas just dazzles them with his off-speed stuff. But we'll see. But the only way I could play this would be Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan, I guess when the organizational depth right around your age range at your position is Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Hunter Barco, and you're on that list, it's easy to, someone's going to go under Bubba Chandler. It's easy. Someone's going to go under the radar a little bit. And I do feel like it's been Ashcraft. And another reason he's gone a little bit under the radar is the Pirates did, I guess this is the Pirates, what they're going to do now. This is their new thing where they're going to call a guy up and then let him come and pitch in long relief and come out of the bullpen. So he kind of, he didn't really get his sort of day when he got called up because he was coming out of the bullpen, so on and so forth. They might be onto something though, because I think it's I think it's helped him, right? Like he was coming out of the bullpen. Maybe he realized he could throw a little bit harder in shorter, in shorter stretches. He's been awesome. And he's been better than he was at AAA since, sort of getting called up and going through that routine of being a long reliever for a minute. I mean, his stuff is tremendous. He has if they didn't have Paul Skeens and they didn't have some of these other guys, I think they'd be talking about Braxton Ashcraft as a potential ace, but he does sort of fly under the radar a little bit. And for that reason, you're able to get prices like plus 110, plus 105 on him when he's the better pitcher. And you know what? The Pirates right now, they very possibly could be the better team. I'm going to go Gene. I put his comment down because it was taking up a lot of room on the screen. I'll pull it back up. Cardinals clear clubhouse issues. Did you guys happen to catch when Contreras got tossed out of the game the night before, threw the bat, hit one of the teammates? It's not good for the Cardinals right now. And I think that's a very good point that's being made. They're kind of a team that it feels like they're sort of going off the rails. Whereas the Pirates are a team that, unfortunately has been off the rails since about May. They haven't had anything to play for since May in terms of going anywhere. So I think you could see the Pirates play spoiler a little bit. I'll tell you what I'm looking for long-term. Right now in Indianapolis, they have Cam Devaney, Rafael Flores, Nick Solak, and Nick York. Those four should be in the Pirates lineup. If you see those guys start to creep into the lineup in the coming days and weeks, the Pirates will be a money-making machine in September, an absolute machine, because that would improve the Pirates lineup tenfold. Those four are better than the last four guys in the Pirates lineup right now, which has been the Pirates' issue. Why they won't bring them up, I don't know. It must be a way for that owner to save $1 or $2, because that's the MO in Pittsburgh. But write those four names down and keep an eye on the transactions. The reason I say that is it is August 28th. On September 1st, rosters expand, and it would be crazy to not give Cam Devaney his Major League Baseball debut. When they traded Adam Frazier for him, they still haven't called him up, and the guy's got a 950 OPS in the minors. He's 28 years old. Even the Pirates can't continue to do him a disservice like that. So I think you're going to see some of these guys get in the lineup, and the Pirates might be a September machine. For today, I still think they're good enough, Bryan. So I'm going to throw this in the parlay. I'll do what do we have for a Pirates money line right now?
The Pirates money line is looking at plus 103. I will say,
yeah, I'll take that. That's good.
I will say, after looking at the bullpen situation for Pittsburgh, Santana's pitched 3 of the last 4 days, including yesterday. Their 7th and 8th inning guys, Matson and Lazowski, he threw 46 pitches yesterday, so he won't be available. Matson's pitched 3 of the last 4, so they're going to have to use some of their other guys in the bullpen. I like the first half better. You can get them at minus 120. That way I don't have to worry about the bullpen. And we didn't even talk about Mike Burrows, who has been in the rotation for a long time this year. And he's another guy that
Yeah.
has turned into be a pretty good pitcher for Pittsburgh. So from a pitching standpoint, I think the Pirates are in good shape for next year. They just got to bring in some hitters, and they'll be a competitive team.
I think you could see Justin Lawrence out of the bullpen for the Pirates today. He threw on Tuesday for Indianapolis, and I don't see why they wouldn't just. I mean, he looked fine. Like it's his third. It was his third rehab outing. I feel like if it would be outing number 4, like why don't just let him throw for Pittsburgh, especially if you need a bullpen arm. And Lawrence, before he got hurt, was looking really good. If you guys remember, he was the reliever that they grabbed from the Rockies, who was off to a tremendous start this season. So you may see him back in the Pirates pen today. It would probably be his day to pitch. So keep an eye on that. Okay. Let's take a look here. We have Dayton. Dayton says, can we cover the Diamondbacks game today? We can definitely do that. That was one I saw a little value on. I did a video for this yesterday. I thought Arizona would win a game in this series and that they were a little value at plus money, and they got it done yesterday, 3-2 win. So I guess my free play cashed yesterday on the Diamondbacks. Bryan, I think they might have a tiny bit of value again today. In this one is at plus money. You're going to need them to piece together the pitching a little bit. It's probably going to be Nabil Crismatt and a sort of a couple of bullpen guys, because I don't know that he's going to go very long in this game. But I believe they called up a guy from Reno that's been throwing it well. His last name's Rashi, Rashi, I believe I don't know if he appeared yesterday. If he didn't, he's probably in the mix for today. So my question to you is, can Arizona piece it together with the pitching where they're in this game today?
Yeah. This game, we're looking at Crismatt and Quintana for Milwaukee, the afterthought for Milwaukee, and he continues to have a terrific season. He's a lefty going against Arizona here. We're looking at Milwaukee at about a 160 favorite and a total of 9. I'm glad we talked about this game because I wanted to talk about Milwaukee. I lost a game the other day. I believe they played San Francisco, and they brought McGill in to close, and they brought him in the last inning. He clearly didn't have anything. I'm watching the game. I go, they got to get him the hell out of there. I talked about it earlier show. And now they find out, what do you know? He's going on the IL. He's hurt. Yeah, I knew he was hurt. I watched the damn game. If I could see it, the management's got to be able to see that. Why do you leave him in the entire game? Cost our clients a win, but a little frustration on my part. But still, Milwaukee right now, they got a big lead. They don't need to win, and they're playing somewhat like that right now. Nabil, the only Nabil I've ever heard of in Major League Baseball. He's 30-year-old, so he's only pitched 186 innings in his career. This is his sixth season in Major League Baseball. Career ERA 3.58, not bad. 1.30 whip, a little high. But he's come in. He started a game earlier for this team, and he's had some pretty good success. Probably won't go long, as you mentioned. He's going up against Quintana. Quintana, 3.32 ERA, 5.02 expected. He's always beat his expected numbers. You go all the way back the last 4 years. He's beaten them every year. He's one of those guys that stays under the radar, and I like it. But if you see a StatCast page, not any red on this page. Average exit velocity, 61st percentile. That's the best thing he does. A lot of blue, but he knows how to pitch. His career ERA 3.72. Last 3 years, 3.32, 3.75, 3.57. The StatCast people do not like him. And a lot of people in Major League Baseball, the scouts and all that, they don't like him. But he knows how to pitch. And I usually find a lot of value on him, but I don't want him today. As I mentioned, Milwaukee right now without their closer. And they can just cruise the rest of the way. So no reason to play Milwaukee here. The line open 170, 145. I believe they take those from Chris, and they kind of inflate their numbers on the favorite there. They got 25-cent straddle right there. So normally you only see about a 15-point straddle at the worst. So yeah, we're looking at Arizona here. I think there's value on there, and because of the Milwaukee not having the closer, the rest of their guys are really good. But Ashby, they used as a starter. So last time out, and he pitched like 45 pitches, so he won't be available. So it'll be a limited Milwaukee bullpen here. So I kind of like Arizona. I think that's a decent underdog play for today.
Yeah, Nabil Chris-Matt's been around for a long time. I think he's 30, will be 31 later this year. He's just been a journeyman minor leaguer. I feel like I've seen him on 6 different AAA rosters over the past couple of years. I think he was actually on 3 different ones. I think he went from Dodgers to Phillies to this is his most recent stop. He's actually been he's taken this opportunity and run with it a little bit. This will be his 3rd outing for the Diamondbacks, and he's given up 1 run over 9 innings so far. So, he's thrown it well recently since being called up. So I think that's worth pointing out. I'll echo what you were saying, Brian. This Brewers team, they just don't really need to go nuts right now. They have a 6.5 game lead in the division. They still have I think their lead on the best record in the National League is roughly the same. They have a 6 or 7 game lead on the next best team in the NL right now. They don't need to manage these games and put guys at risk. You're going to see it's going to be all just spread the innings around. Let's keep everyone fresh, and let's go to the postseason healthy. Now listen, if the Cubs close the gap and suddenly this is a 2-game lead in the division, does that change things? Probably. But I just don't think you're going to see the Brewers take chances with relievers. I think it's just going to be next guy up. So it's worth sort of noting, because you get to these leverage spots and you're typically used to having a McGill or an Ashby in a certain spot. Well, McGill's on the IL. They're obviously not going to use Ashby today. And you get kind of the situation that happened to you over the weekend, where you have the game on the line and Garrett Anderson is pitching in the 9th inning of a game. And that's tough. So I do think that that's a reason, based on where the Brewers are priced in the market, to start to look at the other side, because you're still paying premium prices for the Brewers on pretty much a daily basis. And I think that's what you're being asked to do here. So it would be Dbacks or pass for me. I think there's value again on them today. I would rather have the Arizona Diamondbacks if I was going to bet this game. Okay, let's move along. We have 17 minutes left. We've locked the parlay in, so I'll repeat that again at the end of the show. But there's still plenty of other games to talk about. Let's talk about those Cubs. The Cubs 6.5 back in the NL Central, but it looks like they're sort of comfortably a playoff team at this point, Brian. Everyone has kind of distanced themselves from the Reds, which you sort of foreshadowed that being the case on Monday. They're still on the road in San Francisco. Looks like we're going to get Imanaga versus Webb. Any thoughts, Cubs Giants, for you?
Yeah. First thing that pops at me is the Cubs are favored slightly. I mean, it's much more of a pick 'em game, but they're going against San Francisco's best pitcher, Logan Webb, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. You say, well, why is that? Well, San Francisco is going for the sweep. The Cubs, it's the last game here. They don't expect them to leave here getting swept. So a lot of people are jumping on the Cubs. And I can understand the logic behind it, but now we've lost. There's no value. I'm not going to go against Logan Webb, the best San Francisco starter. Playing at home here, they're playing. They've come out. They've been another team that's been up and down all season long, and they looked terrible just a week ago, and now they're playing very well. I believe they won 4 straight games total. So you got the best pitcher for this team on a winning streak at home, and money's coming in on the Cubs. Can't get there that way. If I was catching maybe 120 here on the Cubs, I'd be interested, but right now it's looking like a pick'em situation. Imanaga, 3.03 ERA, 3.65 expected, 0.94 whip. In 2 years, 0.99 in Major League Baseball as a whip. That's been excellent. His walk rate, obviously terrific, 94th percentile, but he is a fly ball pitcher, and that hasn't hurt him that much, but he does have the ability to give up a fly ball, which hurts you in the home runs. Pass ball velocity only in the 8th percentile. He's a crafty veteran, and he'll come into San Francisco. As I mentioned, Logan Webb, 3.13 ERA, 3.70 expected, 1.22 whip. Last 2 years, 3.47 ERA, 3.25 the year before. His career in 7 seasons, 3.37 ERA, 1.19 whip. He's one of those guys that will walk somebody once in a while, but this year it's at 5.4%. So other than that, it's very good. And it's the 91st percentile in walk rate, 91st in ground ball percent, extension 84th. I like this guy, obviously, and they're playing pretty well right now. I wanted to play the Cubs. I thought this was going to be a good spot for them, but there's no way I could go against Webb at home, so I'll be sitting this one out.
Oh yeah, dogs are barking again. Sorry about that. I don't have a huge opinion on this game, so I want to pull up this chat comment because it's a good spot to talk about this, and I'll tie it into this game. So the question here is, basically, how do standings affect your handicapping? And I think too often it gets thrown around like meaningless game. Like Major League Baseball players are always going out there and trying to win games. The players are always going, for the most part, play hard every day. So, but the standings and where a team is at will affect the handicap. For me, it's two ways. It's one, the game we just spoke about with the Brewers, where it's like, okay, we have a large lead. It's not that they're not trying to win, but management spreading the innings around. Like there's different things in play. The other thing is teams like, and I will look at the standings, and teams that I feel that they felt that they should have been in it, and they've got some veterans, and now they're no longer in it come September, tend to be, that's where you see some of the lethargic play, in my opinion. When you have a team, and I think the Giants could fall right into that mix, where this was a team that in May went out and got Rafael Devers, and everyone's throwing them a parade. What a move. Oh, they fleeced the Red Sox, got Devers and gave up a couple of young prospects and gave up Kyle Harrison. And if you guys remember, at the time, they were very much in the mix. Trig was drinking the Kool-Aid. I think I said, oh, God, Giants are a playoff team. Just mark it down. This team's now 7 games out of the wild card, 11 and a half back in the division. I think the writing's on the wall here. I don't see the Giants playing their way back into it. And it is kind of a veteran team. You've always sort of questioned, like, I don't know that Devers has fully caught on there. Like, I don't know. Like, he's not like a fan favorite like he was in Boston by any means. Logan Webb's a veteran. Like, so, Brian, I'll throw this back to you for a second. Could the Giants be that team that just sort of like doesn't look like they really care over the next couple weeks, especially if they fall another game or two out of the race?
Well, they had been that team. they'd been on a bad run after having that nice start to the season. I think they got that out of their system now. They're getting some of their guys back. I saw a tweet, and I'm terrible at remembering. I like to give everybody credit for what they've done, and I just can't remember. But they had a listing of since that trade, the Giants had the worst record in baseball, or the worst WRC plus or whatever. The hitters just had not played well. But he did go 4 for 4 yesterday. It was a big celebration last night for on the field. So it could be a letdown spot with your best pitcher on the mound. But I talked about this the other day, and all the teams right now, the 6 players, 6 from the East or from the American, 6 from the National, are all locked in. The last spot is the Red Sox. They're at 94.5%. Nobody else in the American League. The Royals, they're at 14.4. So the teams that are in are in. The teams that are out, and we can take advantage of going against those teams that are already in because of that. The Brewers are 1. They've got that big lead over the Cubs. This is a team that they'll not only change up some of the innings that the pitchers throw, but they'll also give the bench guys more at bats, and that's something that they've done very good. And it's one of the reasons why they have success. Boston does a lot of that. They keep the they keep the bench guys involved. So we can fade a lot of these teams. The Tigers we talked about, and I know we got a lot of Tigers fans in the chat. But every time they get a big lead in that division, I called this when they beat Kansas City 3 out of 4 the other day, that they were going to slump. And sure enough, they've lost 4 straight games now. But that doesn't mean they're a bad team. It just means that this is the time where we can go against them. And once it gets close, obviously, if it does get close, then you can bet on them again. So Toronto's in that situation a little bit lately. They got a 4-game lead over Boston, 4.5 over the Yankees. I'm kind of worried about Toronto getting a little bit satisfied in that situation, because if you, to me, you flip a coin, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and the Yankees, any of those teams could win this division, and it's still up for grabs. But Toronto's in the playoffs, so it's a situation for me where I'm looking to fade those teams. Any team in the playoff, I'm looking to fade, and there's going to be certain spots every day that we get. Now, I talked about Philadelphia. They're playing Atlanta today, and that's one of those situations. Atlanta, a lot of injuries. Their players are going to be out. The starting pitching staff has been it's been a wasted season for Atlanta. But they signed Quantrill, they signed Fetty earlier. They're picking guys off the scrap heap just to give them innings, so they don't throw into their minor leaguers and add up their innings at the major league level. So in Philadelphia, in that game, coming off of the sweep, you would expect Philadelphia to play a great game, but is Aaron Nola back? So it would be a good game to fade Atlanta, but I'm not sure that I want to lay that kind of number with Aaron Nola. I didn't know if we were going to go into another game, but I guess we have gone into another game here. Just want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, we can go into that one. I'll just wrap up the Colin. It looks like a couple guys in the chat were pointing out Giants struggle against lefties. Yeah, it's definitely worth pointing out here because they do swing and miss quite a bit too. Giants strike out a lot, and even though Imanaga is not going to overpower anyone, he doesn't throw particularly hard. He does have a pretty solid chase rate, and he's also very intelligent pitcher in my opinion. He'll be able to set up those hitters. So yeah, this could be a decent spot for the Cubs, especially kind of avoid a sweep. Didn't even realize I didn't even realize the Giants had 4 straight wins going into today. So maybe they are sort of like this is like their last stand, if you will. But I don't think that this sets up great for them. Let's go into that Phillies Braves game. The Phillies were rather humbled by the Mets the last couple of days, but I actually had on my list of stuff that I jotted down, almost every one of which was just a disgusting, gross play. Braves were kind of like, I thought there was a little value with Braves plus 1.5, and I think it really kind of does go to the pitching. It's like, I guess this is a spot where you would look and say, okay, the Phillies should win this game, but do you want Aaron Nola at $1.80 is the question right now. And I don't know that I'll get to the window with that, but I definitely see like, Cal Quantrill's not a guy that I am super high on, but I think it was worth pointing out that I think he was throwing 97 a couple weeks ago. He's shown flashes, so it's tough. That would be one where there's no way I'm playing the Phillies at $1.80, but again, it does feel like a spot maybe where they bounce back. Tough game. I wasn't even going to talk about that one, but go ahead.
Yeah, if you're good, I don't want to lay the 180, but Aaron Nola's in the 98th percentile of chase rate. He's got more strikeouts than innings pitched. Maybe there's a situation where if you want to play Nola strikeouts, that may be a way to actually play Philadelphia without having to lay the big number.
Yeah, and I got to go back to the last question we were talking about. The Braves were the team that I talked about for a couple weeks. I was like, this is going to be the fade come September, because they've got all these veterans. They've got veterans that are accustomed to winning. They've got Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, guys that have like tasted real success. And this was a team that the expectation was they would be in the mix for at least a wild card spot this year. So the fact that they're coming into September 61-72, and they're really like they're much further out of it than the Giants are, that sort of profiles as a fade to me, because like when it's totally different from when you have like a young team, like let's say an A's or a Pirate, A's is a good example, where you've got this young team with a bunch of guys that just want to play. Those are the types of teams, like they might be out of it, but they can have success in September. When you got a team like the Braves who was supposed to be there and they aren't, and they've got veterans, that's where you get the some vacation plans are already starting to be booked while the season's still going on. So for that reason, the Braves were always going to be a little bit of a fade to me as we get to this point in the season. But to the Braves' credit, I think they've played well the last couple of weeks. So I'm not sure that I'm just like ready to go against them yet. So that's a That's a tricky one right there. I can't imagine I'll get involved in that game.
Yeah, even though the Braves come in at 61 and 72, their run differential is -2 on the season. So they should be a 500 ball club. Now, if they were a 500 ball club, they would still be behind the Mets by 5.5 games or whatever. They'd still be playing hard, but do these Braves players actually think that they would be a contender with all the injuries they've had? They just want to get this season over with. I fully understand that. But they're a lot better team than what their record shows. I got to give them credit. They started the year, they were horrendous. If you remember, coming out of the start of the season, had all those injuries, and they played with a lot of heart. I've got to say that.
All right, we have I have someone coming to do some work on the house. Specifically told them anytime after 10, do not show up before 10. And when did they show up? 9:57. But we're at the we're at the end of the show, and I gotta be honest, on a Thursday slate where there's not much and I haven't put anything out for clients yet, I probably should throw like a quick promo in without Tokyo Brandon. I forget that we still sell stuff on this website. I mean, me personally, I've got a 5% football play that I love for Saturday. It's probably going to be my only college football selection of the weekend, and I'm 5-0 to start football season.
Nice.
So check that out. Brian, do you have anything going in Major League Baseball today?
I have not put anything up yet. There's 3 or 4 games I'm trying to break down here and get those up. Also, we're undefeated in college football. We only had one play, but we had another play on the free play, and that one won. I do have a play up for today's card, and I do have a 4% play going further on in the weekend.
If I get to the window with a baseball play today, it very well might be one of these two that are in the parlay. Can you just tell me what the odds are on that? We got Marlins plus 1.5 and Pirates, and we desperately need a parlay win. And I think we've got a nice 2-teamer here. I'm actually pretty excited about this parlay.
Pittsburgh's about a 103 plus 103, and Marlins plus 1.5 is plus 105.
Love that. And we even went with we've got some odds there. That's plus 316.
Yeah, since TB's not here, we don't have any big favorites.
I mean, I used a big favorite yesterday, and magically it got there with the Blue Jays. I'm not really quite sure how that was even though we were cooked by that point, but I'd like to win one. You know what? We set the tone, Brian. The very first parlay of our year, we got a grand slam to win it. And I don't think we've had that kind of luck since, but I do like this one. So just before we sign off, one more time, the 2-teamer for today is Marlins plus 1.5. That's Brian's side. And my side is going to be Pirates on the money line. Both plus money, plus 316. So nice little 2-teamer there. Hopefully it gets us back in the win column. We will be back regardless tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, to finish out the week. Well, hopefully we can cash some tickets today. Have a great day, everyone. Check out the Wager Talk YouTube channel. If you missed the show, the replay is always up on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. And good luck tonight, everyone. Enjoy some college football, really kind of officially kicking off tonight. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.